For all the young viewers out there, the 80s were a much better time. Let me tell you about it. Anyways, what we're going to do today is we're going to go over some modern tech that looks retro. Man, I miss the 80s. All right, welcome back. So what we're going to do today is, you'll notice I'm wearing some crazy headphones. I'm going to go through some modern tech. I got a couple examples of it that they actually made look retro. And I'm going to say, is it better now or was it better then? Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some real products. I have a couple of them. And then I'm going to show you some other products that I actually don't have in-house, but that are retro and they're pretty cool. Again, I'm not as big as the other YouTubers, so I can't buy 20 things, but I can buy a couple, and I have them on the channel. Before I do that, though, let me go on my little rant here. The 80s. So when I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And the 80s is the time that I remember as being the best time of my life. We had cassette tapes. We didn't have digital music. We had a boom box and things like that as well. You didn't have all this digital music. We actually had a Sony Walkman like me. That was the cool thing you can see. And this is kind of what these headphones I'm going to show you in a couple seconds are going to be about. Look at those things. Those are beautiful. Things were better. You went to the arcade, for example. That's where you hung out. You didn't hang out, at a club or something, or you were at the arcade pretty much all day. Beyond that, the computers, you didn't have 1,000 different computer choices like all these Macs and everything that I do my reviews on. You had the Ataris, I had an Atari 800, there was the Atari after that. Music production were done on the Ataris. That was a great computer. You didn't have the internet, so in the 70s, if you wanted to see some picture of something that you shouldn't be looking at, you'd have to get a Viewmaster or something like that. But it was still fun. It was an adventure to get what you needed, and we all found a way. Cars. Now look at the cars here. Cars kind of look like this. They weren't the most beautiful, but they got the job done. But if you wanted a dream, you wanted a beautiful car, these are still the most beautiful cars. Look at these old Porsches. There were no smartwatches either. If you wanted a good smartwatch, you got the Casio, just like this one. This was the kind of watch that everyone had. If you were cool or if you were a nerd, everyone had that watch. And if you wanted to burn just a couple hours, you wouldn't pull up a Fortnite or anything like that. You'd actually maybe tend to your baseball card collection, grab a Rubik's Cube, or even play some little football on a game that cost about $12.95, but it was one of the best games of all time. Check out the football game. You can buy them on Amazon as well. Also during this time, you actually had to know how to use a camera. There wasn't like digital cameras out there. You actually had to know how to develop your own film and everything. You took classes in school. That's what everyone had to do. It was just a different time. All right, and there's no digital movies either. So if you wanted to go watch a movie, you went out to Blockbuster. You got a VCR, just like the ones I'm showing you here. They were huge, they were fun. Tapes would break on them all the time, but it was just an adventure to find a movie. You'd all go out as a group, look for the movie together, all agree, and come back. Buy some candy, buy some popcorn. It was just a different time. Movies like this is the big movies, with the special effects and everything, like E.T. and everything else during that time. The 80s were just better, and I might do some things coming up here as far as old tech versus new tech. But today what I'm going to do is let's just get this into the video. I'm going to show you a couple things that are retro, that are actually modern tech, like these headphones. I have a couple other things like hard drive enclosure, and some other things I want to show you just on Amazon. So without further ado, without my little rant there, let's get into it. Let's start with the JBL Rewind wireless headphones, and you can see me wearing them, and they're great. I actually love them. They're kind of a retro headphone. You can see the look of them right here. They're full wireless. They have about a 12-hour battery life. They have custom sound settings, the throwback look, and you can fully control it. There's a dial on it. I'll show you here in a second how you do all that. But when you get it out of the box, it comes in some nice packaging like this, and it does look just like those Walkman headphones. It does have a charging cable you can see here. These are fully wireless. You can't wire them in any way, so they do have a microphone. It also pairs very quickly and very well. Here's the instructions for that. You can pause that. It does come with some different cups, black ones in case you like those better. When you actually go ahead and charge them, here's the way that you charge them. You actually have to go ahead and just move the cup down, and you can charge it right there. It does light up when charging. You can see it here, and you can use any standard charging port, so that's very easy to do. On the actual system itself, they have a little button here. You can see it, and it has a whole bunch of different controls you can do on it. You can pause it here, but basically, long story short, it lets you, skip forward, skip backward. You can activate Google. You can also click it a couple times and get different sound settings. So that one controller on the right-hand side kind of controls everything, including pairing and everything. It was super easy for me. But the reason I love these so much is just look at these things. They look just like the Walkman headphones. I love the look and feel of them. They sound great, actually. Believe it or not, for under $20, $19.99, you can't beat these things. These things are some of the best sounding cheap headphones. You know, maybe it's just the way I just because I like the look of them so much, but can't go wrong with these. I highly recommend them for not only the sound, but just the coolness factor. And it's going to be a conversation piece wherever you go for sure. All right, the next piece of tech is the Oraco HDD enclosure. Now, this isn't so much retro in the fact, but it just looks retro. It's actually just an SSD enclosure, external enclosure. You can see some of the specs. It's about a SATA 3.0, 5 gigabit per second, holds 2.5-inch SATA drives really well. That's what it's made for. It's compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. I was getting really good speeds out of this. It's actually a really highly rated enclosure on Amazon. I do have it in-house. Here's my 11. I did a review on that recently, but you just slip in the SSD like this, and it does have a proprietary connection, which sometimes you don't like. It's on this side, so you can see that it's one of those weird cables. On the other side, though, it's just USB, so that's pretty straightforward. Anyways, look at this. It looks like an old tape, and people ask you, what are you doing? Like a lot of times you get questions with this, but the reality is, look at the reviews. It actually works really well. It has really good speeds, and it's about $12 or something. Very inexpensive. So I just wanted to throw this in. You have to put your own stickers on, though, and I kind of screwed that up. But at the end of the day, it's just a fun product for about 12 or 13 bucks, and it does, again, start a lot of conversations to the old times. All right, these next three things are going to be honorable mentions, and I don't have these in-house, but I know that they have really good reviews. This one's going to be the Volksun. It's actually a record player, but the cool part is it has built-in speakers, really cool, and it also can record to MP3, and it has like a carrying case that comes with it. It's about $69, but it can play plays all your old records, and then after you're done playing them, you can do a couple cool things. Like you go ahead and record to USB drives and make them into MP3s automatically. That's one cool thing. And then on top of all of that, it does have some connections so you can hook them up to external speakers. So there's just a lot of cool features built into this, and it's kind of retro. I kind of like the old time on this one, so that's one of them. The next one is, who could forget this one? This is only about 12 or I think this is like 15 bucks. And you can get them from all different prices. I'll have a link to it on Amazon. Remember this old football game? Well, they make a new version of it. It's not exactly the same, but if you want to go ahead, just grab one for the coffee table or something for like 15 bucks. Go ahead. I'll have a link in the description to this as well. Brings back memories. And then here's another conversation piece. If you want a really simple MP3 player that looks exactly like a tape cassette, you can get one, and they're very inexpensive, about 20, 25 bucks. And what it does is it has electronics built into that little tape, and it allows you to download your music. I think it's around 8 gigabytes total for about 25 bucks. Just another conversation piece and cool tech. And then finally, I just remember these old floppies from when I was growing up. You remember these things? Well, these are actually going to be coasters. It's not so much tech, I know, but it's just something that reminds me of the 80s and 90s. So here you go. They're made out of rubber. They work really well for, obviously coasters. So pick them up, a set of 6. All right, let's wrap up the video. So modern tech, basically, it looks retro. It's not as good as the real stuff, but it's fun. I like it actually because it brings back some memories for me. That's the main reason I buy it. It's really about the memories, not so much about the tech itself. The 80s were a special time for anyone that grew up during the 80s. I think that, the way that the internet has kind of infected everyone and stuff like that, and when you actually bought a Walkman, it was one of those things that you cherish because maybe you saved up for a year for it, and then that was the only thing you had. And each tape you bought, you had to really research, and it was, I think 14 bucks for a tape or something. You got the 12 songs or 10 songs, and that's all you had. You listened to them over and over and over again. But you really, kind of learned good, etiquette, I guess, when buying stuff. Because you had to put your hard-earned money towards just one thing versus, people nowadays buy 50 things on Amazon and have them shipped to their door in the same day. Just a different time. Technology was a lot more expensive, but I think it was better. And I mean that in the sense that it just was more hands-on. You learned more things about photography, about, putting a tape in, recording stuff. You didn't have so much stuff just bombarding you constantly. And that's what life is now. It's just constantly, you're bombarded by a bunch of things, kind of overwhelms you. So simpler time. These I recommend this solely for really bringing you back to that time. It really is worth it. It kind of soothes you. It's not so much about the sound of these things or the hard drive working perfectly correct, but when you look at them, it just gives you kind of a smile on your face. So at the end of the day, I might make some more videos like this about some old tech because it does bring back some good memories. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.